The Left 4 Dead 2 community is pretty used to things not really happening. Older game, not really a whole lot of news. Valve working on other titles. It's kind of to be expected, but there has been some buzz around the Nightmare Pack and the upcoming Mike Booth game lately, which I think is something to talk about. So I've decided to make this quick video to open up some dialogue and conversation. This isn't the usual video I do on this channel, and don't worry, the map breakdowns and other deep dives are coming soon, but for now, the idea of this excites and intrigues me a bit, so here we are. I'm very late to the punch, but I did recently try out the Nightmare Pack, not expecting very much, but was impressed with it. Now, I played it in VR, which is overall rogue, unsupported, and unintended, not just for the Nightmare Pack, but for Left 4 Dead 2 as a whole, but you definitely still very much experience the intentions and game design. I played with bots, which the creator says is unintended, so my hot takes mileage will vary. The two main selling points of it, at least from what I gathered through word of mouth, is that it's 1, more horror-oriented, and 2, harder. Now, is it definitely darker and grittier? Yes. Was I scared by it? No. So a lot of the visual design is inspired by Cry of Fear, which I never experienced, but the overall formula of the gameplay is of course still Left 4 Dead based, so you always know what to expect and therefore no jump scares or anything. It didn't have me clenched, but I don't think that was really the intention anyways. The overall vibe is darker and more horror leaning. The word horror doesn't necessarily have to imply that you're going to get spooked and have a hard time falling asleep at night fearing that the Howler's going to get you, and I appreciate seeing the different takes and other themes within Left 4 Dead's existing framework. On that topic, I personally am completely indifferent to the weapon and special infected skins. They're fine, and I get it contributes to the overall aesthetic feel the author is going for, but the beauty about this being a mod pack and the Steam Workshop is that we have the ability to just simply disable something if we want to, so by the end of it, I was keeping my usual special infected survivor and weapon skins, and it just felt great to have that option. Not because I disliked them, I just liked my mods better. This talking point is something that we'll come back to later. What is ultimately important about this pack is gameplay rebalancing to just completely overhaul and effectively make a new game. Of course, still following the pattern of going from point A to point B while fighting zombies and special infected, but it's just simply different. I thought I was going to get a game mode that is harder than expert difficulty in a straightforward way, but it's really not that simple. It's clear to me that it's a bit more of an apples to oranges situation, like if you wanted to debate if the Passing, Swamp Fever, or Hard Rain are the hardest of those 3 campaigns specifically, it's just different and requires a different approach. Though I will say as a blanket statement that it is harder and requires more team coordination, and whether or not that is a good or bad thing is subjective and is on a per player basis. This stems from a number of factors, but to me the big one is the lack of ambient hordes. I heard multiple music stings while playing Nightmare expecting a horde to spawn because that's normally what happens in Left 4 Dead 2, but that horde never came. Instead, whenever I faced a tank, witch, howler, or even just a standard event horde, that's what made me have to really work hard instead. It was interesting to play with this shifted power balance where the emphasis is on the bosses of the chapters, not so much the chapter itself. At least that's the impression I got from it. That being said, before I go further into what I like and dislike about Nightmare Mod, I just want to point out one thing, and it's that I know that this pack gets some hate, in part to the creator for one reason or another. For example, I saw this description in one of the mods used in the pack made by a different creator that said, "Valve loves blessing us with unnecessary shit like Camshake." I later learned that the author who typed that mod description was a friend of the pack who uploaded a mod just for their friends' night of playing Nightmare Mode, and they were shitposting in the description because they figured that only their friends would see it. So with that in mind, now listen to how unnecessary the following thought process was. And of course, my brain went to thinking, well, Camshake being good or bad, necessary or unnecessary is subjective. I like aim punching in Counter-Strike and Left 4 Dead. So when I thought that, I thought to myself, that seems a little negative. That seems a little holier than thou. And admittedly, this did leak a little bit into my subconscious as I was playing, where I'm normally trying to separate the art from the artist. Sometimes you can't help but remember one thing, and then that has a bit of an influence into how you perceive something else. Is this decision here because it's just trying something out, or do they think that they're fixing something? Do they believe standard Left 4 Dead sucks and that this is their attempt to fix it? But ultimately, sometimes you just gotta realize that the internet is not a courthouse or a debate stage. People speak loosely, and it's too tiring to try to read too hard into these things because we've got zombies to kill. If I let one random thing, probably typed in jest, affect how I view the rest of this mod pack, then I'm going to rob myself of actually enjoying it. Bottom line is that at the end of the day, this pack's existence is an overall win for Left 4 Dead 2, and I'll explain why later. These points are going somewhere, I promise. It's just kind of become clear to me that this mod pack comes with controversy, so I will talk about it because if we are going to talk about it, there are some things that we should acknowledge so that our discourse is informed. The biggest thing is this disclaimer. The pack is a personal collection first and foremost. It's free. They do not accept donations for this. They are not taking criticism. I know not taking criticism in principle is something that rubs people the wrong way, but listen, this is the author explicitly saying that they are their own target audience here. They are not trying to make a grand slam game that's going to appeal to the masses. You shouldn't expect it to follow the mythologies of what you think is perfect game design, and you shouldn't expect to love it and go head over heels for it. I don't blame them for not wanting to have to listen to hundreds, if not thousands of people rip into their personal mod pack when pack is something that was, as established, not for you, but for the author and their friends who's just sharing it in case you do like it. That's how I see it. And as I was making this video, I approached the Nightmare Mod Discord because I felt like I wanted to sort of let them know, I'm going to talk about your pack. Here's my script. How do you feel about it? How accurate is this? Similar to how I worked with the League of the Gold Miners in my recent survival video, I was able to speak to the creator, Yoru, and basically he told me the origins of the Nightmare pack. So basically the pack was originally made last year in 2024 as a personal collection made just for him and his friends. As time went on, they started to make their own mods just for it, but somewhere along the way, the pack started to gain traction and popularity. And then a lot of content creators started to create content of themselves playing it, streaming it with titles like Scariest Mod Ever, Hardest Mod Ever, I Survived It, This is the mod of all time. And now there's a million eyes and opinions and hate being hurled towards not just Yoru, but the other mod makers who just happen to have their mods involved in the list. And the reality is that it was never supposed to pan out like this. It's not like they're a notable indie dev or a long-standing game design veteran. It's just them and some mods they enjoy playing with their friends, getting some modding experience, trying things out, having a good time as they personally see fit, and putting the pack out there in case others like it. And that's really all it was ever supposed to be. So when they say they don't take criticism, they definitely will if it's coming from a good place who understands, but not if it's in the form of, your mod pack is shit, it's not even scary, you're a weeb, you're this, you're that, this aspect of it sucks, even though I can just turn it off.
Last pause here. There's of course a whole other conversation of how you react during times of strife reflects who you are, but that is an entirely separate discussion which I don't know the specifics of. The bottom line is that this mod is not that serious, and no matter how much you dislike it or the author, there's no reason why they need to have hundreds of messages ripping into their For Friends Night mod, and it is hypocritical to put someone in a stupid and unnecessary situation and then judge them for how they react.
Before I move on, let me just help put into perspective of how good we have it in the Left 4 Dead 2 community. You've probably heard of Skyrim. If you've ever downloaded a mod for Skyrim, you probably had to download the unofficial Skyrim patch. And this unofficial patch project extends to other Bethesda games. But the Spark Notes is that these unofficial patches are huge. And I know in Skyrim specifically, the big unofficial patch just removes so many bugs that a lot of other mod authors use that mod as a dependency for their mods. So for like, I don't know, tens to hundreds of thousands of people, whoever wanted to download a Skyrim mod usually also had to in turn download the unofficial Skyrim patch. And if it did just simply end there, then I wouldn't even be talking about this, but it doesn't end there. The lead of that unofficial patch project was starting to add other things to their bug fixing mod that were not bug fixes, rather just his take on how Skyrim should be played. This led to so many debates about what is or isn't a bug, what's intended or unintended, and it just caused so much unnecessary and stupid drama because this individual realized, wow, so many people are using my mod, it's time for me to force how I believe the game should be played and behave in my vision upon everyone. No, I will not just simply make these changes as separate optional mods no matter how much pushback I get. I am simply right. Also, if someone mods my mod to remove something, then that's actually copyright infringement and they are participating in fraud. But in our case, our mod author here, not taking donations, not forcing anything on anyone, it's a collection of their vision and we are free to tweak it as we see fit and nothing more. So whether or not you think it's good, just remember how good we have it, and before you invest too much energy into it, you can always just not play it. You can also just disable certain parts of the mod if you don't like it. And simply remember the roots of the Nightmare Pack and why it even exists to begin with, and that the only reason most of us know about it is because a lot of content creators used it to make content with clickbait titles for viewers. Anyways, if I were to quickly discuss things that I like and dislike about the mod, I dislike the beta Left 4 Dead 1 survivors because they don't pop out as much as the release survivors, and I accidentally shoot them more. Even if the beta survivors technically blend in better with the overall aesthetic of the pack, and the vanilla survivor style clashes with it. I dislike no character dialogue. I dislike having limited lives. I'm going back to the main menu. Dude, what the back for blood is this? I dislike realizing I'm about to die because the witch happened to see one of the bots, even though again I'm not supposed to be playing with bots. I don't like that I can incap my teammates while I am incapped. I don't like that Coldstream and Last Stand were left out. I don't like that Infected make me drop my weapons sometimes. But I do like the weapon rebalancing in that it feels so satisfying to just barrel stuff a charger and actually have it go down. Same with the grenade launcher. I like to just blow something up and actually have it blow up. I like the overall darker aesthetic. I actually like the Howler. I think it's a cool idea in theory. I like that I can share throwables with teammates. I absolutely love that the campaigns shake up their layout on every playthrough. It's something I talk about a lot in my map breakdown videos, and I love to see it being executed. I've known about the mod that randomizes paths for a while, but I've never gone to try them yet, and I just love playing with them so much that it really makes me desperately want to have them in my vanilla lobbies. The problem is that I like both the randomized geometry and the idea of the howler, but since the increased geometry often makes the determined path much more narrow, it cuts down opportunities to bring the howler to a wide open area so that you can get it behind you so that you can move forward. So you can have times where your counterplay is to bring the howler like all the way back to the start of the chapter and then run all the way back. And it does become a boss that slows the pace down too much and can be intrusive on your desire to simply shoot zombies. For me personally, it's perhaps having too much of a good thing. It's liking two aspects that happen to clash with each other. Perhaps if there was other counterplay to it, like if it can't open doors or something, that would be pretty funny. Anyways, I could go on even more about what I like and dislike about it from the one session I played with, but to be honest, I don't think it's worth it to try to hyperfixate and dissect it. To me, my takeaway is that this mod pack is a win for Left 4 Dead 2 because it is a showcase of our game's flexibility and the Steam Workshop's flexibility. It's amazing that someone can spend a lot of time rebalancing and tweaking the game, and you can try it out, and if you don't like something, you can just remove it and tailor a game that was for them, for you. And also, it just feels refreshing to actually have something be going on in the community. Lord knows it broke us when Purple Francis showed up for that one day. We had Years of Nothing, and then we had Last Stand, and then Purple Francis. Like, dude, we were living the dream. And I know I'm sounding like a dead horse with the whole you can turn it off thing, but the reason for that is because there's this other rumored game called Back 4 Blood 2. We do know that Back 4 Blood 2 is rumored, and for us especially dedicated in the Left 4 Dead community, you already know. You already know what the deal is. You cannot like something in Nightmare Pack and simply remove it in Back 4 Blood. While there's all these customizable options and possibilities you can do in that game, it still somehow feels like you're restricted anyways. I can't shoot my friends because we have a limited amount of continues. I can't switch my primary weapon halfway through the run because now there's a ripple effect of overall ammo economy. What I built before the game, I now just have to commit to. Non-competitive PvE for a fun game that I suddenly just don't have simple control over things like that because it's just the game and you get what you pay for. Straight up, dude, if I was not restricted to continues or ammo sharing, I'd actually probably be playing it, even though there are other things about it that I dislike. Anyway, so we already know what to expect for Back 4 Blood 2. And to be honest, I think that's a good thing. Not only does it get me excited a bit for zombies and Left 4 Dead, funnily enough, but the thing is that if you're Turtle Rock Studios, there's no way in hell you didn't examine the reaction when the first game was released. There's no way you don't remember the mixed reactions you got. You're working on Back 4 Blood 1, right? You know that it's got heavy crossover with Left 4 Dead. You want to market your game that's kind of like Left 4 Dead, and it's like, well, hey, we worked on Left 4 Dead, now we're making another game that is kind of like Left 4 Dead, but it's got some new things that we thought of. It's kind of like a spiritual successor. So, like, you want to sell your game to as many people as possible. You're going to want a target audience. Why not try to tell people, hey, if you like Left 4 Dead, you could buy our game. The problem is that Left 4 Dead is a Valve game, and if you go to any of these communities, Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, Team Fortress, Portal, it's all twos. And you're walking into these rooms full of brainwashed cultists chanting, 3. We want 3. And Back 4 Blood, you said spiritual successor, and we heard 3. And we did not get 3, so therefore you pulled on our nostalgia strings to sell your product, you greedy corporation. But sorry, just gotta say, mostly ironically, but if Valve simply just released the friggin' Half-Life 3, it would have been out of all of our systems, and who knows, maybe Back 4 Blood actually would have been received way better. Who knows? I mean, Half-Life 3 is definitely real this time, right? So surely Half-Life 3 will release before Back 4 Blood 2 does, and then we can all just explode because we can't handle how great we love everything and our lives are awesome. But anyways, hopefully all of this is out of our system now because if Back 4 Blood 2 comes out, now we know what to expect. And perhaps going into it knowing what to expect will actually help us appreciate it better, on top of Turtle Rock Studios, who I'm sure was taking notes. I do want to see what they create. If it releases, I will stream it, I will talk about it. Look, I love Left 4 Dead 2, but I'll be honest with you, part of the reason why Left 4 Dead has been such a core part of my gamer being for so long is because I play other games. The reality is that if you play only Left 4 Dead for a while, you're going to eventually get tired of it. In the same way that if you just played a Dead Air campaign, now maybe you don't want to play another Dead Air playthrough until you've gotten to also play Dark Carnival and Perish and No Mercy and The Sacrifice, because only then will Dead Air feel a bit fresh for you again. If Back 4 Blood 2 succeeds, it will be another game to play in the downtimes that Left 4 Dead maybe feels a bit too repetitive. As fun as playful bantering can be between games or consoles or something, just remember that we as consumers win if we have an abundance of good options to choose from. I want Back 4 Blood 2 to be a game that I view as an option for me. And hey, just remember, Left 4 Dead had a sequel. It was Left 4 Dead 2. We love Left 4 Dead 2. Maybe Back 4 Blood just needs to have a 2 in its name as well to be the accepted spiritual successor it was always meant to be. Speaking of new games, and Left 4 Dead inspired, Mike Booth. So, the biggest news lately has definitely got to be Mike Booth announcing a brand new project that they are working on over at Bad Robot Games. Mike Booth was not involved with Turtle Rock Studios when Back for Blood was created. If what I'm reading from the Reddit thread is correct, he wrote the AI director, was an integral part of the Left 4 Dead franchise during its development, and is now working on a new 4-player co-op shooter built on the foundations of what made Left 4 Dead special, in his words. Now, I will say that I am proud of this community for displaying some level of apprehension, some hesitation. We've been hurt before, so to speak. It's good to question things, even to question the things you accept to be true. This is how we evolve as humans, and this is how we learn. And you can see how well their community manager, Tina, has learned from Back for Blood based on how they're maneuvering, since they do not want to be giving you the wrong impression. I actually just gotta say, very impressed with the bravery here, because you saw how Back for Blood was ripped apart by a very vocal group of people, and now you are here having to directly manage expectations. Let's just say that there's more desirable positions to be in. But anyways, yeah, you can see from here that they are very clearly saying that the game will not have anything to do with Left 4 Dead or Back for Blood. So I'm going to say right now, if you guys are expecting your Left 4 Dead replacement or your 3, you will deserve the disappointment that you are going to get. There isn't even anything in this thread that's indicating that the game even involves shooting zombies. You could be shooting other humans like in Payday, or space bugs like in Deep Rock Galactic. There's no way of knowing. But yes, the takeaway here absolutely is Back for Blood devs developed Left 4 Dead, and then a few years later made a new game that expanded upon it in ways that they saw fit. And now Bad Robot Games, led by the guy who more or less created Left 4 Dead, is now working on a game that expands upon it in a way that they see fit. Don't worry if it's not Left 4 Dead 3, Left 4 Dead 2 will still very much exist, and we can keep playing that at the end of the day. So this has been my thought dump on the recent goings-ons of the Left 4 Dead recently. The Nightmare Pack and the discourse around it, to me, also ties into the new Mike Booth game and in turn, Back for Blood 2. You don't have to like any of it, but to me at least, I think the prospect of all of this is really exciting. Left 4 Dead truly is eternal, wouldn't you say? When I played that Left 4 Dead 1 demo in November 2008, I definitely did not think that I would be here 16 years later, still talking about it and getting excited about it. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments on any of the topics I just touched on, and if you've watched this far, hey, you probably like Left 4 Dead 2 and me talking about it, so if you subscribe, you'll be able to see more videos where we look at Left 4 Dead 2 closely. Thanks again for your time. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.
Yo.
Hey, watch out!
You want to put down those fire bullets?
Uh-oh. Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is it just me or is it hot in here?